Why can't he have 99 of them? So, see, that's the thing about Hebrew Israelites. They don't even have a universal. They claim that they have a universal God that is the universal God, but they don't have a universal theology. You go from one. That's why there's so many different Hebrew Israelite fucking sects. Now, see, if there was a universal fucking Unitarian or Medunetter or Kemetic school of thought, which there isn't, then you could like argue because Medunetter is set up like that. You know what I'm saying? Unitarianism is set up like that because there's the pantheon of gods, and there's different there's different cultural manifestations of it over the period of time in which Egypt existed. So you can access any of them and still be a Unitarian or a Kemetic or whatever you want to call it. But this idea in which he's like, okay, there was the Hebrew Israelite, and then also talking about the uniqueness of Judaism. Judaism is not unique. The Hebrew Israelite, there's dietary laws in other cultures outside of it. You can find the symbols of Judaism in Hinduism. You can find pre-existing aspects of Judaism in Zoroastrianism. You can find dietary law in Zoroastrianism, the duality of God system that's found in Job, which is Zoroastrianism. It's not Judaism. That's why it exists like 1,000 years before Judaism ever existed, or even supposed to exist within the framework of Abraham being the patriarch of Judaism, because Job existed for him and he was Persian. Right. And that's a narcissist. He can only accept what comes out of his, because that he never wants to get into scholarship, because the scholarship's going to deny the uniqueness of his Jewish belief system. And there is no uniqueness to that Jewish belief system. I can tell you entirely, the dietary system's not unique. If anything might be unique is the idea of imagery. And it's the same reason that the Muslims would take on that same iconography argument, because I control the image of God. If I control the image of God, I can control how you perceive that God, and so therefore that gives me more control over God. You can't take the image of my God and put it somewhere. It's psychological. Right. Again, there you go. He's trying to give me $100. I mean, I'm giving you $100, my nigga. You trying to give me back change as motherfucking pesos, and you mad because I won't accept those pesos, my nigga.
If you say the same religion, the Egyptians, then you have to show that. You say new. New means different. So
It's not. Dude. Christianity is an entire different religion than Judaism, but you can see that it's inspired by Judaism. Just like Islam is an entire different religion than fucking Judaism, but you can tell it's inspired by Judaism. And I can explain to you the iconography within your religious belief system that is taken from this religious belief system. People, fucking Jewish scholars will show you. Egyptologist scholars will show you. But you have to be willing to accept the scholarship. And most Hebrew Israelites are not. I sat down on Venice Boulevard, on the beach, on the boardwalk, and broke down this shit to them piece by piece, bit by bit, little by little. Took them in a book and showed them where it was where it corresponded. They don't want to hear that shit. So it's like the Hebrew, to me, the Hebrew Israelite community is the anti-black conscious community. They are the worst thing that could possibly happen to the black conscious community. They are a hindrance, and they will continue to stand in the way of the progression of the black conscious community. You know what I'm saying? And it's lucky that they are primarily made up of men, and they have a very small women minority, because most black women ain't gonna go for that bullshit. And when they do, it's because they come from a very subversive background most of the time. I mean, I've met sisters who went down with that shit and became Hebrew. And he always becomes disrespectful when his argument is like, and that's Hebrew Israelites. When you start proving that their argument is bullshit, and then they start yelling and screaming and shit. And now he got all this, he got to go, and he got to raise his voice. He can't have a logical conversation at all. You can't have a logical conversation with a Hebrew Israelite. You can have a more logical. I've had more logical conversations with die-hard black Christians than I have with any Hebrew Israelite. I've had die-hard black Christians tell me, "Hey, dude, I switched to Gnosticism. I mean, your argument was too strong. I had to start looking at Gnosticism as being and the laws of attraction as being real, motherfucking. You know what I'm saying? Viable." Viable theories for how our world operates, because that shit that I was on beforehand, you kind of disproved it. Now, a Hebrew Israelite will come back to you and tell you that it was yeah, you had some good points, bruh. Yeah, you kind of smashed me, kind of like in these places, but I'll get you next time. You'll get me next time. What? No, bruh. What you should do, like if you could prove your Hebrew Israelite message to me, I'll be like, dude, hey, I'll catch you at the next Hebrew Israelite meeting. That's what I'd be. I'm not going to try to disprove something that you can prove to me, you know what I'm saying, through observable phenomenon in nature, cause and effect. I'm not going to disprove. I'm not, no. Not. And he still comes back. And at the end of the day, Shaka almost had to come back with that wolf. He's a fucking moron, my nigga. My recipe. It ain't brand new. Circumstances cause you to change my recipe in order to fit your particular condition. It's not because you created something new or even was desiring to create something new. Circumstances made it so you didn't have access to salt, so you used another ingredient instead of salt, and it made the whole recipe turn out different. That made it look like an entire different dish than the one I gave you, my nigga. But it ain't a different dish. It's the same ass dish. You just took the salt and pepper out and put something else instead of salt and pepper, and now you're trying to claim that's an entire different meal. Nigga, it's not. Nigga, I know what the shit tastes like without salt and pepper because I done ran out of salt and pepper and had to use the shit without salt and pepper. Make the shit without salt and pepper, homie. You can't tell me, and I can show you how your shit is just you just substituted some of the ingredients in order to make your meal, homie. But it's still the same exact fucking dish, homie. You got the recipe from me. There's no way to get around it. And this idea that you didn't get the idea from me, that Christianity isn't derived from the Coptic religious community, so therefore Judaism is, and so therefore Islam is, and so therefore all religions are derived from, because that's the Persian influence upon Copticism. Upon the Egyptian philosophy is Copticism. Get the fuck out of here. There's absolutely no evidence to support that. And what's his name? Yakovich. That's a die-hard Jewish motherfucking boy, man. Is Yakovich? Yakovich is gone. Him and James. What's the name? What's the filmmaker's name? They don't try to prove that shit even in the face of other fucking, you know what I'm saying, Jewish scholars who said, hey, you know, Yanni, that ain't working, Mr. Yakovich. It's not gonna work that way. It doesn't work that way, my bro. You know what I'm saying? It don't work that way, my dude. He's still trying to work it out. You know what I'm saying? Him and James Cameron did a whole fucking goddamn series trying to prove the cause and effect conditions that resulted in the Exodus. But I'm like, dude, if they're cause and effect, then God already knew they was going to happen and couldn't change them. So why he was lying in the first place? Because it was cause and effect. So all you're telling me is an allegorical retelling of a cause and effect of situation, circumstances. Bruh, you're always going back to an Aryanized or a Hellenized version of Egyptian or three civilization concepts that come out of the six cataract civilizations before they got to Egypt. Right. So your religion is a salvation religion, you fucking moron. Right. Afterlife religion. And it has an afterlife. It has salvation basis. It has the idea of, you know what I'm saying, all these concepts come from Egypt. There's no way in the world that it is, even the uniqueness of a one God concept is an idea gotten from Akhenaten, who existed during the same period that Moses was supposed to exist, except for there's historical evidence to support the existence of Moses. I mean, of Akhenaten, and none to support the existence of Moses. And that's what I'll say about Hebrew Israelites. That's a special kind of stupid. You can give, if you give them primary sources and primary evidence to support those primary sources, they'll tell you it's not primary. That's why they need to be fucking entirely excluded from the conscious community. We don't need to even be arguing with these niggas no more. Let them be the Amish. And once we establish a nation base, they can come over to that nation base and they can start participating in group economics and group politics to the degree that they are. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I mean, this expeditional concept of the increase of urban centers and the improvement of life by 15%. That's something I got from the code. So there's mathematical equations why you want to have more people engaged in your intersubjective agreement, regardless of what their actual frame of mind is. But right, iconography. Right. And someone at the iconography movement that came out of the Muslims, the so-called Muslims embrace very hard. I mean, very, you know what I'm saying, come on now. You people are sick. Really? Sick. You see the evidence in front of you. It's sickness. It's literally cognitive dissonance, homie. It's and it's transference. It's a parataxic distortion in which that cognitive dissonance is meant to, and it's this self-fulfilling prophecy. Transference is when I have when I engage in a particular behavior, and I try to transfer it to you because I don't want to take responsibility for the behavior I engage in. So it's Shaka Amos. It's polite. It's all the Neditarians who are trying to hide information and try to dance around information, and not the Hebrew Israelites, when in actuality that's their transference, that's their parataxic distortion, and the cognitive dissonance they use in order to maintain that shit. Come on now, Hebrew Israelites, nigga, y'all need to get y'all shit together. Maybe I'll get the whole get this up there and post this later on about Hebrew Israelites.